Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala syarfil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, as we speak about our positive Islamic psychology model, and the nature of human existence at the four level, that is this spiritual, the ruh, the qalb, or the heart, or the emotion, the emotional realm, the akal, or the mind, at three levels: conscious, subconscious, and supraconscious, and our physical jasad. This is our nafs as we live on this earth. So this interaction of these four realms of our existence allow us to exist because Allah endowed us with free will. That means we can choose to believe in Allah, or we can choose not to believe in Allah. So for example, if the atheists, they say they don't want to believe in Allah, that's their worldview. But the fact that they exist, there must be a creator to their existence or our existence. So we acknowledge there is a creator. Alright, and I have mentioned earlier about the watchmaker argument. We say that this universe is made by Allah. We say that there is a watchmaker, but the atheists will say, oh, who is the maker of the watchmaker? And you will go on and on and on. And in Ilmul Kalam, we know this is a regression, or it is something that is absurd, because the fact that you exist, the atheists exist, and we exist to realize our existence, and that is the key point. Alright, but there will be many arguments that we'll have to face, especially in the 21st century, with these atheistic so-called scientists and so on, who are arrogant, who think that they know everything, who think that they are great. But as we know, we are just a tiny puny creature in a tiny puny planet, not the size of one atom in the scheme of the physical universe. Imagine that. So there's nothing to be proud of or to be arrogant about. But for us as Muslims to surrender and submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and understand our means and our purpose in this world. There's one good book by a Muslim convert, John Halihi. We published this book some 30 years ago. It's a very good book, In Search of Truth. How this man, John Halihi, his name is Yahya Ahmad, his Muslim name, searched the truth. And this whole book is about his journey to Islam. Alright, but I just take one paragraph, and he succinctly described his discovery about Islam on the aspect of our existence. This is just one paragraph. This is whole book on this. So let's read, and then I'll explain to you. We have earlier observed that the secret of man's humanity and a major key to the understanding of his spiritual identity lies in the totality of the human intelligence and the liberating quality of free will in the light of that intelligence. So Allah give us intelligence, Allah give us also free will. Man is the most human of all beings. Of all beings Allah has created, the monkeys, the apes, the whales, the cows, the goats. We are the most human of beings. However, the existential reality is not the reality. So our existential reality in terms of just the physical aspect of existence is not the true reality. It's just part of the reality. Man is situated between an intellectuality that connects him to the reality, that is to the absolute, to Allah, and attachment to that connects him to this world, that actually has the power to detach and separate him from God. Because of the pull of this dunya, nafsu amara bisu, we can regress and forget God. Alright, so like the atheists, they forget God. They think they are great, they think they have scientific discovery is so great, whereas they do not know even about this universe. We only know about, when we talk about the nuclear forces, we only know about 4% or 5%. The rest are dark matter, dark energy, and God knows what it is. So we actually really know very little about ourselves. But because of their sheer arrogance, they deny God. But for Muslims, we must understand. Thus, the essential paradox of human condition is the natural consequence of the interaction of the intelligence and will. So Allah gave us intelligence, the akal al-kulli, akal juzi, and to understand the supraconsciousness, connection with Allah in terms of experiential, to taste that connection with Allah. Thus, essential paradox of the human condition is the natural consequence of the interaction of intelligence and will. Man is free with respect to all that his intelligence can grasp. So whatever that we can grasp in terms of the phenomena of this physical dunya. We can grasp it. Allah has given that capacity, the intelligence for us to do. But this freedom lies under knowledge of perceiving consciousness. Is he free to deny divinity? Free to make himself a human God? Free to separate himself from his creator? So, are we free just because we know something about this universe that we deny Allah? We say there's no such thing as God, there's no such thing as the creator, there's no such thing as afterlife, there's no such thing. So everything is just pure, so-called arrogant intelligence, not true intelligence. I remember, they do not understand the reality, but because of their partial deduction of the dunya, they say the dunya is all and be all. So this is the atheistic position. Isn't he also spiritually free to embrace the divine factor in his nature and connect himself to the higher good? That means he also is free to embrace Iman, Islam, Ihsan, and become a Muslim. An examination of the spiritual traits has led us to consider initially the divine gifts of intelligent will and soul. So Allah give us three aspects. Allah give us intelligence, Allah give us free will, and Allah give us ruh. Alright, so these three things are what we have. Then the human spirituality expressed through faith, surrender, and virtue. So we express our Iman through faith, Iman. And then we submit to Allah, and then we seek all the truth, the virtues that Allah has given us. Until we finally touch upon the formal trait of the law, the way, and the truth. That means we follow the path in which Allah gives us, in the terminology of tasawwuf, Allah gives us the way of the shariat, the way of the tariqat, the path, and the way of the hakikat. Alright, but I'm not saying that we are promoting Sufism and Islam, but these were the great master scholars of Islam as telling when they travel the path, they pass through this path of Shariat, linked to Hakikat, and linked to Tariqat, and linked to Hakikat. So the three levels of understanding is very important. A lot of the modern Salafis reject this totally, but this is a beautiful approach of understanding the true nature of our existence and the true nature of Allah through all the four realms. Because at the level of hakikat, or at the level of shariat, is just you are doing your 5 times prayer, your zakat and all that, but that is just the external. The internal reality is your path, the path towards self-discovery, the path towards greater iman, the path to understanding the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the hakikat level, it is at the level where you understand this nature of your existence with iman haqqul yaqin, because iman also have 3 levels. Iman ilmul yaqin, with the ilm you have iman, that means out of your intelligence you have iman ilmul yaqin. Then the second level is iman, first is iman ilmul yaqin, second is iman ainul yaqin, you can see with your inner eye of this iman, and the third is iman haqqul yaqin. So these 3 paths are linked together to these 3 areas. And great scholars, great Muslim scholars like Imam Ghazali and all the other scholars, they've explained this in so great detail, books upon books upon books, and so many of this has been understood, but unfortunately in the context of the 21st century, or in the context of some of those people, they discard all this knowledge. Or they say this is bid'ah and whatever it is. It's up to them. But the reality at the higher level of iman, to reach the iman of ainul yaqin and haqqul yaqin, you must have this inner understanding of the attributes of Allah and closeness to Allah. But that is only at the level of your heart, qalb. That's why Allah gives you this cup, for you to understand that reality. And you understand that reality, then you understand the totality of your existence. Then your iman is not shaken, inshallah. Your iman will be strong, like Allah tells us, where it's like a tree, the roots are deep. Your iman is deep and is not shaken by any storm of life. So this is the beautiful thing about this whole knowledge of Islam carried by our great masters of the past, which we should acknowledge, study, because our knowledge compared to their knowledge is just like a drop in the ocean. So immense of their knowledge in terms of the understanding of this deen that we should learn, respect, and then follow to whatever that we can. We may be imperfect, we may be no good, we may be sinners, we may be doing a lot of things, but if we understand that this is the path of us understanding the nature of our existence, the nature of the understanding of the four realms existence, and the nature of understanding that we can feel this closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that give us iman haqqul yaqeen, with the certainty and absoluteness. Inshallah, we are on the right path, and may Allah guide us towards the truth, always bringing us towards understanding of our spiritual truth, our existence at the spiritual level, where we have this dunya, we have the akhirat, and we have the fullness of this journey, the beautiful journey of Iman, Islam and Ihsan, to reach the best that we can, being the sincere servant of Allah, His Khalifa on this earth, always striving to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, and making the world good, inshallah.